Good evening. I'm Scott Monroe, Managing Editor of the Morning Sentinel and Kennebec Journal. I'd like to welcome everyone tonight to our virtual debate for the Waterville Mayor's Race. We hope tonight's forum will be substantive and informative for voters. A video of tonight's debate will be posted tomorrow on centralmaine.com as well. A special thanks to the candidates, Phil Bofia and Jay Coelho, for taking the time to join us tonight to talk about their qualifications for the position and the important issues facing the city of Waterville. In a moment, I'm going to turn things over to journalist Amy Calder, who covers Waterville for the Morning Sentinel. She will be moderating tonight's debate. Let me first briefly go over tonight's format. Amy will ask for opening statements from each candidate, up to 2 minutes each for each statement. Amy will then ask questions alternating between which candidate goes first. The questions, which were jointly devised by the Sentinel staff and have not been shared with the candidates, aim to focus on the top issues facing the city of Waterville. We'll allow up to 2-minute responses per candidate. Amy will ask for rebuttals if she thinks it's appropriate. Around 6:40, we'll go to audience questions submitted through the Q&A feature. And finally, we'll aim to finish up around 7 o'clock with 1-minute closing statements from each candidate. So please enjoy the debate, and here's Amy Calder.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, mayoral candidates Phil Bofia and Jay Coelho. Thank you for being here, and thank you to those of you who are joining us tonight. Let's get right to it, and with opening statements from Jay Coelho and Phil Bofia. We'll start with Phil since we're doing it in alphabetical order for opening statements. Phil Bofia.
Thank you, Amy, and thank you for the Sentinel for allowing us to share our platform here today. And thank you for the many viewers who have joined us. I'm running for mayor of Waterville because I want to deliver 3 powerful benefits to each citizen. First, I want to deliver the powerful benefits of what I call positive politics. In 2020, too many people are disgusted by negative partisan politics, but positive politics can powerfully turn this around. Rather than toxic politics we see today, imagine positive politics, a politics of compassion, respect, competence, and a profound, very American inclusiveness that says all are welcome here. You matter and you are welcome here. Second, I want to deliver the powerful benefits of economic vitality. Our city is blessed with an amazing abundance of talented people. Imagine a bold new generation of leadership that can harness the talent to achieve the next level of economic vitality. Great paying jobs, a thriving downtown, flourishing small businesses, and opportunity for everyone in a smart, thriving 21st century. Third, I want to deliver the powerful benefits of competent, enlightened leadership in solar power and climate change mitigation actions. As chair of the Waterville Solar Committee, I can deliver breakthrough leadership on this issue. We can boost our economy as we care for our planet. If you're attracted to our message of positive politics, economic vitality for everyone, and bold, smart leadership on solar power and climate change, I invite you to vote for Phil Bofia for mayor, because Phil Bofia has always and will always work for the people of Waterville. Thank you.
Thank you. And Jay Coelho, your opening statement, please.
Again, Amy, Scott, Strawberry, everybody, thanks for having us. Waterville. My name is Jay Coelho. I am a resident of the last 10 years. My family and I own a few businesses in town. Grub Bakery and You Broke It. Grub being Desiree's brainchild. We are looking to add more power to the people, a better voice. I am the son of Portuguese immigrants. I was raised by my mother and my Haitian stepdad, who have both since passed. Growing up poor, we know what it was like to scrounge, to scrape, to struggle to get by. I am looking to develop a city that is better than that. One that looks at everyone, one that makes sure that from the bottom up, we are all thriving, that we are all doing better. We're not looking for division. Politics can get dirty. It hasn't been this time around, which is nice. It will continue. I like to build consensus with the people that I work with. I have continued to work with city council members, the current mayor, to get things done and push through that benefit all of us. And hopefully that will continue. I think that the bridges that we have built will get us further than where we are now. I think divisiveness, we can all agree that nobody wants it. We can always do better than what we are currently doing. And I look forward to, as your next mayor, continuing the work that I have done in the previous couple of years.
Thank you. The first question, and I'm going to address it to Jay Coelho, since we're going to be doing it, we're going to be alternating. You have 2 minutes to answer. The powers of the mayor are limited. It is largely a ceremonial role, but the mayor presides over city council meetings, can break a tie vote of the council, has the power of veto, and may issue mayoral proclamations and write a budget message. In light of this, what do you see as the most important functions of the mayor?
Listening. I think it's important to listen. As the mayor, just as you said, there isn't a lot of power in being the mayor, which is something I actually like. I am not seeking a position of authority. I am looking to give a voice to people that otherwise feel like they haven't been heard in the past. I run around the entire city talking to people from all over. I like to make sure that as we continue down this path that we have been, that every voice is heard. I won't be doing a ton of online tweeting. It's not what I do. I like to talk to people face to face. I like to build consensus. I don't want to post things that are negative or divisive. That doesn't do anything for us. I find that anytime we start going online and we just start attacking each other, it devolves very quickly. As mayor, I will use proclamations to inspire. I will use proclamations to give attention to people in our community that are doing good work. Short of that, the budget is a city council runs most of that budget. I can give pointers, I can give ideas, I can help build consensus, but ultimately that power lies in the city council.
Thank you. Phil, the same question to you. What do you see as the most important functions of the mayor?
Thank you for that question. I would say one of the most important functions of the mayor is to basically sell our city to other communities and to investors. You know, as mayor, you are going to be the face of the city who walks around with our city government to sell and attract new businesses in town. You are the one that sets the tone in our community as far as the kind of culture that is going to be part of our community. As mayor, you know, one thing that I will make sure to happen is that people will feel welcome. They will feel like this is a place they want to come and grow. They want to come and raise their family. Businesses are going to know that this is a place they want to come and start those businesses that we so desperately need. You know, the mayor might not have a lot of power, but the position of mayor is critical in making sure that it can guide our city into a future that we're all proud of. We have seen before how powerful the position of mayor can be. You might not have the same authority as the city council, but you have the power to make sure that everybody comes to the table. And when everybody comes to the table and is open to communication and to negotiation and to working together, our city thrives and our city moves forward. And as an independent candidate, I can do that. I can be that middle voice between the sometimes divisive, you know, council and among the political figure. And I can also be that person that will be the last stop, you know, like our mayor has been on when it comes to our city budget. We need somebody in the office that has that background of making the tough choices, tough decisions, and asking the tough questions so that the people of Waterville can continue to feel like every dollar that they send our way is well spent and our longtime residents are not taxed out of their homes.
Thank you. The next question is for you, Phil, and then we'll do Jay afterwards. But why are you running for mayor? Simply, why do you want to be mayor?
I want to be mayor. Thank you for that question. I want to be mayor because it's important for our community to see that regular folks like a Philadelphia who arrived in the United States, you know, at 17-year-old with $17 in his pocket, one t-shirt and one pair of shoes, can serve our community and can give back to our community, because that's what it's all about. It's about people, regular people like me, coming out and putting the time and effort to give back to our community and serve our community the right way. We need conscientious people who will serve with dignity, with care, love, and humility, so that we can market our city to others and we can continue to grow and thrive and bring our city in a place where we are all proud of. I mean, we have lived in this city and we have lived through the contentious time. And we know that by just having compassion, humanity, and by loving each other, we can continue to bond and grow as a community and make our city proud and make a city where everybody will feel welcome and where businesses will be attracted to like magnets.
Thank you. Jay Coelho, why are you running for mayor?
I'm running for mayor to give a voice to people. I'm running for mayor to give a voice to people like me. As I said, we grew up very poor. We have scraped, scrounged, and hustled our way to where I am now. I'm running for mayor because I feel like I bring people together. I always build consensus. Doesn't have to be my idea. And I have a knack for listening, or at least paying attention to what I believe people are saying. And that translates. Recently in June, we had our LGBTQ community. They wanted to put a flag on City Hall. That wasn't going to happen. We fly an American flag and the Maine state flag above City Hall. That's it. But what they wanted to be was heard. The community wanted to be heard, and they felt like they weren't being heard. So I reached out to the community and I was like, hey, I understand what you want. It's not going to happen that way, but let's get a banner across Main Street. And we did that with the help of some council members, calling up the city manager, talking to him about what was really going on and what they really wanted, which was recognition for Gay Pride Month. And we made it happen. We didn't talk about it. We just put up a banner. But it's that sort of action, looking outside of the box to help the members of our community when they feel like their voices aren't being heard. We want to elevate everyone up at the same time, not just one segment of the city versus another. We have to be there for everyone. I, as mayor, will have an open door policy. Walk to the mayor's office, walk to my downtown shop, talk to me. I've been accessible for the last few years, and many people show up when they have an issue. And that will continue long after I've been elected to the position.
Thank you. The next question, and Jay Coelho, you're first, is what is your overarching vision for the city of Waterville? Where do you want to see Waterville in the next 5 years?
I want to see Waterville's population grow. I would like to see more homes in Waterville. I want to see more businesses attracted to Waterville. I think that we are poised for growth. I think that with all the revitalization that's been happening downtown, there are other areas of the city that haven't been getting as much attention. Like I said, I believe that the entire city needs to be risen up at the same time. Are there key issues? There are. The issues that the South End has are different than what the North End needs. South End needs better sidewalks. We need infrastructure. We need to be creating revenue sources that don't rely upon the residents of this city. We're getting there. We can continue to get there. We just have to be open and honest about these discussions. We have to look at all of our partners, all of the stakeholders, and say, come to us. Help us do more for the citizens of this city. We also have to attract visitors to our city. We should be leveraging the people that are coming to visit Waterville and not always our tax base. We need to make sure that we are putting in meters on Main Street. We want those cars to rotate. We need to make sure that the properties that we have are clean, that they're up to code, that they're inspected, that we continue to sell off. Our property values have risen about 17, 20% in the past few years. I think that that will continue. That does hurt people because taxes go up when your property goes up. But that happens everywhere. That's not unique to Waterville. It is happening because families want to move here. Families want to raise their children here. And if we continue to give them the infrastructure, like good schools and safe streets and plowed roads, they will continue to come. And that's what we need in order to grow Waterville.
Thank you. Phil Bofia, what is your overarching vision for the city of Waterville?
An inclusive community that is welcomed for everyone, for every individual, every business that wants to come into our city. We want to make sure as a community that we promote our city so that single family want to move here. Because ultimately those single family are the ones that are continuing to raise our tax base. And we want to pair that with, the kind of business mindset that attract new businesses here. And how we do that is by putting out a face, putting out a vision that incorporates multiple aspects of things that we want to do. And I know for sure that as mayor, that is what I will do, because that's what I have done, as a counselor, as a regular member of the community. I've always worked tirelessly to make sure that our city is represented. And that is something that I will continue to do. And as a city, we want to continue to have those conversations and listen and share with each other. So many times I have been out on the street and I've spoken with people, and people feel like they have not been listened to. They continue to share their pain, their vision. They continue to share their struggle with us. But time after time, they feel like people are not listening to them. I can assure those people, as your next mayor, you will be listened to. You will have a voice. You will have someone who will always do his due diligence to make sure that your issues are addressed, because that is what it's about. It's about having somebody there who represents you, who serves you and only you for your benefit, not somebody from outside, not some large corporation that is coming from New York, not the big shots, but somebody who serves the people of this city, because we have to take care of our own. And it starts by having a smart, cutting edge leadership in government that does that for our people. And that's what I will do as your next mayor.
Thank you. The next question will be for you, Phil, first. As you know, Waterville is a service center where the population is about 16,000 residents. But during the day when people come into the city to work and recreate, there can be about 25,000 people here. The city provides emergency and other services to all those people. What challenges does being a service center pose for the city? And what would you do to deal with that?
Thank you for that question. Obviously, like you said, with an increasing population during their work hours, some of the challenges that we have seen, with one of the biggest one would be parking, right? The parking issue keeps coming over and over and over again. And I mean, it was a problem before the dorm from Colby went downtown. It is still a problem now. It will be even more so of a problem, when the hotel from Colby is finished downtown and when we finally redesign the concourse. One thing that we have to make sure that we exploit every opportunity that is available for us to address these issues right now. And one of the things that I spoke about even when I was on the council was about making sure that we maximize, our parking spaces downtown. We're going to be losing a multitude of parking spaces when we move to two-way on Main Street. Some of those parking spaces are going to be regained on the concourse, but that will not solve the problem, because right now we have chosen to pick the design that does not maximize the most number of parking spots. And we are just creating a problem that is going to have to be dealt with down the road. So I want to make sure that when we speak about solution, we take smart, decisive actions that not only solve our problems now, but also will solve our problem down the road. This is how we continue to grow our city in a smart way, and making sure that our problem is addressed not only now, but also down the road in the future.
Thank you, Jay Coelho.
So my opponent's correct. We have a parking issue downtown, which has been an issue for a long time. we have a lot of free parking downtown. Again, this goes back to installing meters downtown so that vehicles have to move in and out all the time, giving permits to Waterville residents so that they don't have to do it. And at some point, we need to discuss a garage downtown. Now, I don't want the city to own the garage. I think that a private investor at some point may want to build a garage in our downtown. Look at other cities. They have garages also. But we'll never get that if we keep giving out all of this free parking. A garage can't compete with free. And having a parking issue downtown means people are going downtown. That's a good thing. We want our downtown to be a destination. Once we move to two-way traffic, I'm hoping that that will alleviate some of the congestion downtown. You'll now open up Front Street to be two-way, and all the throughway traffic will go that way. Our downtown will be an art center, a food center, small shops where people want to go there specifically to shop around, to bounce around to the different locations. I think that's a great thing. I don't look at that as a negative. I'm a downtown business. I see that there are spots everywhere. They may not be exactly where you want them, but they are there. And that comes from, again, from leveraging the visitors that are coming to the city so that we can benefit. We are a service center. We're a hub. People come here for therapy. People come here for shopping. People come here for our grocery stores. We want them to come. We want them all to come. Because of the services that we provide, we are desirable. This is why people want to move here. Are we perfect? No. There's always going to be a few hiccups, but together we'll work those hiccups out. And once we get there, it'll be so much better when that two-way comes.
Thank you. And Jay, the next question is for you. Sorry.
If I may add a little comment to that. My opponent is speaking about, adding parking meters downtown. That is basically an added tax to the people of Waterville. We are an overtaxed community. We can't continue to add fees that basically act as taxes. We have one of the oldest populations, in Maine, in the country. We have people who are being on fixed income for a very long time. They cannot afford additional fees that continue to be added on top of all the other taxes that we continue to add. Adding parking meters downtown would act as an additional, basically an additional tax. And that's something that we can't do. The people of this city have to know that they have worked so hard to be here that our own city government is not going to try to tax them out of their city.
Okay, thank you. And Jay, I want to give you the opportunity to respond to him.
Well, I hope my opponent was listening to the fact that I would like to make sure that Waterville residents have a parking permit so that they don't have to pay those fees. You can park all inside the concourse for nothing. We are talking about the main street there where all of those shops, people park there for 2 or 3 hours. They're not always getting tickets. And having a meter there where they are forced to move and we are getting some revenue from visitors to the city, not our residents, but visitors from Oakland, Fairfield, Winslow. We want to capture their tax dollars to alleviate the amount of money that our residents are having to pay.
Thank you. And I would clarify that the city officials have said that once all the construction is done downtown, they will be working on a parking management plan. So that is in the future. The next question, and this goes to you, Jay, first. The issue of revenue sharing often comes up in discussions between councilors and city officials. As mayor, what would you try to do to get revenue sharing back to the level it was intended to be?
Revenue sharing should already be at 5%. The fact that it's not is atrocious. We generate that income. It should stay here. What I will say is that our state reps are very accessible. They're easy to get a hold of. I talk to them all the time. They also want increased revenue sharing. That is something that the entire state has to get on board with. We should be at our 5%, especially as a service center where people are coming here, they're shopping, they're putting their dollars down, and it's all going to the state, and eventually they kick some of it back. It really should stay here. They should have left it at 5%. I understand why they did it. And I understand that there's going to be some budget shortfalls, but that is money generated by the municipalities. And that money should be staying right here to help offset the taxes of our residents. The sad part is that even if you give us 5%, somebody's going to figure out a way to spend that, which is sad because we really should be putting money aside for future when there are increases like we did last year. 0.49% made it so that we were at 0% this year. You have to have some buffer. But our state reps and our state capital needs to do more to give back to the communities that are producing this. It doesn't belong to them. It belongs to the taxpayers.
Thank you. Phil Bofia.
Thank you, Amy. It's all about communication. It's all about keeping the line of communication open. I mean, I have a great relationship with our state representative. It will be about, bringing the issues to them so that they can represent it, and then going with them to advocate for our city. Like I said in the beginning, one of the most critical part of the job of the mayor is to sell our city and to market our city to others. And that's what we need to do. And we need to help the people who are responsible for advocating for revenue sharing for our city. And as mayor, I will work with our city council and our department heads to gather all the information that is necessary for our state representative to be able to do their job effectively. And I will be there right along with them to make sure that the hard work money of the people of Waterville that was given to the state comes back to us all the way to 5% of it. This is something that the state said that they would do for us, and we hope that they get back to that point. But as for this specific question, my role will be to support our state representative in making sure that they have all the information and all the data points that they need in order for them to go in Augusta and to represent us. And I would be with them walking stride to stride to make sure that our city is represented at all levels.
Thank you. Do you think that the state is funding the Waterville school system at a level it should be funded? And if they receive more funding, what should that savings be used for? Phil Bofia, we'll start with you.
I think that, there could be something that could be done more, because right now it seems like when it comes to budget season, the city always finds himself in a position where we're debating with the school on how much money should be cut from each or the other. The state sometimes has caused issues by promising us something and then coming back later and changing their mind. And I felt like that is something that has caused issue with us. If there's ever a surplus, we want to make sure that we save that money. Like I spoke about when I was on the council, we have a spending issue. When money is tight, we want to make sure that we diligently review every penny that is given to us. And then if we have any money saved, we can put it aside for rainy days. But it seems like year after year, we speak about preparing for the future, but yet we continue to go back to taxpayers and ask them for more money. Like I spoke about not too long ago, the taxpayers of this city are not an endless piggy bank. I am not an endless piggy bank. I own property in this city, and I would like for my city government, like so many in this city, to have a city government that is spending our money wisely, and that goes hand in hand with how our school is spending. So many have spoken to me when I was knocking on doors, and they felt like we feel like we're not getting the best value for our dollar when it comes to our school system. And we want to make sure that every penny that is given to our school system is spent for the benefit of our children and the benefit of our children only. Thank you.
Thank you. Jay Coelho.
So I will say that I think that we get a lot of subsidy from the state, more so than the 55% they'd like to give us. If they gave us 55%, our students would be hurting. 41 cents. For every dollar that we bring in, we put out 41 cents to our school budget. We still have kids that go to school that don't know if they're going to be able to pay for lunch. That is ridiculous. Our school system is very different than it was 20 years ago, 30 years ago. We were all in school. It is now a therapy session. It is now one-on-ones. There are more services provided at the school today than there ever were when we were children. It's disingenuous to look at the school board and think that they're just frivolously spending money. Our kids need more resources. We are a service center. Other towns send their kids to us, and we generate revenue for our school system based on the services that we provide to Winslow kids, Oakland kids, Fairfield kids. It used to be that you could buy bread for like 99 cents a loaf. Inflation has made it what, $2.99, $3.99? It's not cheap. As things continue to progress, that budget will always increase. Your budget at home increases. Your light bill goes up. Your food budget has gone up. Just in the last year, how much more money have we all spent on food? Schools face those same issues. And when they have a surplus, that surplus is added to our surplus, which gets us to the 12% for our bond rating. We can't just take away all of their money and say, oh, fend for yourself. Teachers don't get paid enough. They get paid peanuts, $30-some thousand a year as a starting teacher. For what? You spent all that time going to school, and now you have to pull out of your own pocket to buy supplies for students. That's not okay. That's never okay. Not when kids need to eat, and we don't even know if they're going to be able to eat at home. Nope.
Thank you. Thank you. Regarding downtown revitalization efforts.
Do I get to respond to the comment?
I'll give you a minute.
Okay. So yeah, one of the things that always came up when I was knocking on doors is people time and time again ask the question as to why is it that with the declining student population, our school budget continued to balloon year after year. A resident pointed out to me that, about 5 to 10 years ago, we used to put out about 400 students in graduation, but now we're putting about less than 100. But yet our school budget continued to increase. So therefore, somebody has to honestly ask the question, why is that the case? Why is it that, we're having less students to attend for, but we're spending more money than we have ever been? I think it is, as somebody who have looked at the budget line by line, I know there are opportunities, and so many know this. And it's time that we start sitting down and asking the tough question and making sure that we maximize every penny that is given to us, whether to the city or the school. We want to make sure that the citizen of this city and the student of this city gets the best value for their dollars.
Yes, thank you. And Jake, well, I want to give you the opportunity to respond.
As I said before, that budget goes up because school is not what it used to be. We weren't getting therapy sessions at school. We weren't doing that when we were kids. Everything goes up. Is there places to cut? More than likely. At one point, they cut school buses. Cutting a school bus is one of the most ridiculous things. We get reimbursed from the state. You want to buy that school bus so that our supply, that those things are always going. Now, where I agree is that when there is a raise, I think teachers should get the lion's share. When you're giving out a 3% raise and teachers making $32,000 a year, she may get an extra $800 or $900 a year in her paycheck. But a city administrator or a school board administrator that's making $120,000, $130,000 a year, he's got a $7,000 bump. You know how many kids I can feed with $7,000? A ton. You know how many books I can buy? How many other resources I can get for the teachers and the students? That's where we have to start looking at money. We need to invest in the quality education that we want.
Thank you. We're going to change direction a little bit. Regarding downtown revitalization efforts, Colby College is investing some $100 million in the downtown, and the city is about to embark on an $11 million plus project to change the traffic flow on Main and Front Streets from one-way to two-way, improve intersections and sidewalks, do landscaping and reconfigure parking. Do you think the development efforts are headed in the right direction? And do you see any adjustments that need to be made? Jay, you're first.
I always think that there are adjustments that need to be made. There are always solutions that we can find. I appreciate everything that Colby is doing for this city. I know that people like to knock on Colby, but they are the second largest employer in the city. They pay taxes. A lot of people don't realize that they pay taxes. They pay taxes somewhere in the tune of $400,000 to $450,000 a year. Federal law dictates that they don't have to pay any taxes on school property. We can't change that here on a city level. We can't do anything about that on a state level. That is a federal statute that nonprofits are not taxed. I think the investment that we are creating in the downtown is helpful. I don't think it's enough. I think that we should be enhancing the entire city. Our South End has sidewalks that a wheelchair can't get down. That in a city like ours, that makes no sense to me. When we have 80% of our kids that are on free or reduced lunch, and we have roads that are all torn up in the South End, we have streets up by Walmart that don't have sidewalks so that pedestrians can walk. You can't even make it from Water Street to downtown without having to play Frogger. It's just crazy the amount of things that we argue about when everyone is trying to put their heads together to figure out a better solution for the entire city. It can't just be about the downtown. It must be about every section of the city. It must be about every single resident. And when it comes to cutting, we can't be cutting things that are going to affect the poorest among us. It just doesn't make any sense to hurt the people that are already hurting. We should do more. We should get more people interested in what's going on in our city, and we should attract more of those people here, because as we increase our population and our property size, we'll benefit.
Thank you. Phil Bofia, Downtown Revitalization.
Yeah, thank you, Amy. And the downtown revitalization is going in the right direction, but there's still some questions that have not been answered. I mean, I had the pleasure of speaking, with a city engineer and a public works director, and some of the questions that people have are not being answered. I mean, a lot of people are against the two-way traffic because they feel like they have not been heard. There's some safety issues that have been raised, by one lane and delivery trucks. There's parking issues that were raised for elderly people, right, really close to businesses, because those parking spaces in front on Main Street are going to be lost. The diagonal parking is going to be going away. But now we're going into parallel parking. So now those elderly folks that we have in our community have to park far, sometimes during really harsh winter months, in order to be able to get to businesses where they need to go. And I feel like as long as those questions are not our answers, everybody would be fine. But right now, the people of Waterville are feeling like they are being left out. They have been left out of all the things that are happening downtown, and they feel like they have not been done. Those things are not being done for them. And I can assure you that as mayor, I will make sure that the questions that are asked for people are answered, that they are answered before we continue to move forward. This is how we continue to grow, by bringing everybody into the mix and making sure that their question, their concern are addressed. We can't just focus on Waterville and the downtown, because like my opponent mentioned, we have so many other areas in our community that need help. And sometimes it feels like, the long-time residents of this city are being left behind. Their concern are not being addressed, and they feel not listened to. And I want to make sure that they know they will have somebody in this candidate that will listen to their issues and make sure that those sidewalks they need addressed, that make sure that every penny that they put out for our city is spent the right way, making sure that their concern gets to the right party so that we can implement solutions that benefit us all.
Thank you. Next question. Do you think that the mayor should issue proclamations that are in contrast to what the state and city council decide? As for instance, when Mayor Nick Isgro continued to recognize Indigenous Peoples Day as Columbus Day. Phil, you're first.
Yeah, thank you for that question. I feel like, the role of the mayor is to promote our city, and is to make sure that our city is appealing to everybody. And the way to do that is to work in conjunction with our city council in our state, so that we can have the kind of cohesion and the kind of communication that helps us get where we need to be. As mayor, the proclamations that I will make will be a proclamation that lifts everybody, that lifts the people who so desperately, who work day in and day out and never get recognized. We have a multitude of hardworking individuals who wake up every day and roll up their sleeves and do an incredible job for our city. But most time than not, we don't see them being recognized. And sometimes that's all is needed to continue to push those individuals to work even harder. And the mayor should make sure that he highlights, like I mentioned earlier, You know, the role of the mayor is to sell our city. And I would be selling our city to individuals and corporations and letting them know that with Mayor Philadelphia, everybody is welcome and everybody will be cared for and represented in a loving and caring manner.
But do you think that the mayor should issue proclamations that are in contrast to what the city council and the state decide?
I don't believe so. I believe that the mayor should make a proclamation that benefits the people. And if that proclamation benefits the people of Waterville, that's what we should do. And if you have a city council or a state that is making statement that do not benefit the people of the city, I think it's appropriate for the mayor to step in and be that voice that recognizes the people, you know, that feel like they've not been heard. It's about having that line of communication. It's not about being controversial and starting issues, you know, that like sometimes we have seen in the past. It's about making sure that we can answer the tough question, making sure that we can work together, and making sure that the actions that we take represent the entirety of the population and the people who live in it.
Thank you. Jay Coelho, and I want to give you a little extra time if you need it.
So when it comes to mayoral proclamations, they, as I said earlier, they really should be about inspiring and giving people a voice. You want to make sure that when you use a proclamation, that it's about honoring people. It's about bringing attention. I'm not even sure how many or if any proclamations that I will make as mayor. I know that my proclamations won't be about division. They won't be about hate. But I also understand that whoever is in this position has a First Amendment right to say what they want to. They were elected, and we may not always agree with what the mayor has to say, but he was elected by the people to say it. Should we spend more time focusing on the substance of that? Absolutely. As I said, you don't want a proclamation that's going to create hate and division. We want to bring people together. You want to, Gay Pride Month, bring it up. It doesn't hurt anyone. It makes no sense that we would elect someone and then try to cut off what they're allowed to do. Being mayor doesn't preclude you from being human. You're still going to have your own points of reference, the things that you want to discuss and talk about. And you have the pulpit to do it. Why would you not use that voice for good? It's not always going to be used that way. And not everyone is always going to agree. But at the end of the day, it's still the mayor's right to do so, no matter how much we disagree with it.
Thank you. You both served about a year on the city council. Jay Coelho, you worked on efforts to help the fire department start an ambulance transport service. Phil Bofia, you do head up the city's solar committee and have worked on bringing solar projects to the city. How will each of you gauge the success of the ambulance and solar efforts? In other words, at what point do you say, okay, this is a successful thing that we've done? Jay Coelho.
So our ambulance is working out pretty good right now. There was a lot of division when the ambulances came. I made some mistakes. I made mistakes because I wasn't fully listening to what everybody was saying. But I did so because I thought that we only had a short time window. We'd been discussing ambulances for 20 years. People have brought it up. And I had to go to our chief to say, hey, do you want ambulances? Is there something that you think will help benefit us? And I had to hound him for months. I had to get help from Councillor Morris to hound him. It became one of those things where he was afraid to speak out because he thought his job was in jeopardy. And we shouldn't have an environment like that. Now we have an agreement with Delta. We have one Delta employee, one firefighter per ambulance. We are going to start realizing revenue from this. Revenue that will help offset the budget. We'll be able to put money aside to pay for these ambulances in the future. That is a win for us. When I was on the council, we did food sovereignty. Food sovereignty was a win for us It allowed people to decide what they were going to put on their table. I don't have all of the answers. I need to get input from all of the counselors, from all of the stakeholders in the city and the residents. We are moving in a much better direction than we have in the previous 5 to 10 years. We're realizing some things that we should have been doing all along. We added the cost recovery. The simplest thing for our fire department, every time they go to a call and they clean up a road, we weren't getting paid. We simply had to create an ordinance in order for them to bill the insurance company for the cleanup. I think to date, we've already done something like $20,000 to $30,000 in revenue just on that one change. And those are the things that we will continue to do.
Thank you. Thank you, Jay. Phil Bofia, same question.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that question. I mean, as the chair of the Solar Committee, I am very proud of the work that we have done as a committee. I mean, the hardworking men and women of the Solar Committee have put countless amount of time, coming up with a deal that we are all proud of, because that deal is the kind of deal that the city is looking for. A deal that doesn't cost a penny to the city of Waterville, but brings in much needed revenue for the people of this city. I mean, when I got on the council, there was a previous deal that was sent to us from previous negotiation. And taking the first glance at that deal, you could tell that that deal was a terrible deal for the city of Waterville. You know, I tried to get that deal revised, but some individuals within the council did not have the same vision that I had. And I can assure you that when we look at the kind of deal that we negotiated now for our city, that is worth about 3 times more than the previous deal, we can say, yes, we have success. And this is the kind of success that we're looking for, which is smart, bold, visionary leadership that will initiate deals that don't cost a penny to the city of Waterville and bring about much needed, revenue, and also saves the city of Waterville, that will save millions of dollars to the city of Waterville in energy costs over the next 20 years. So we don't even have to look very far down the road. We just have to look at the contract that myself and the hardworking men and women of the Solar Committee have already done to bring us solar power, because this is the kind of work that we need, and people who have this kind of vision to move us ahead and continue to move us forward to a city that we're all proud of.
Thank you. I do have more questions, but I've been asked that we're going to turn to audience questions. I believe Scott Monroe is going to be asking these questions.
Yeah, thank you, Amy. Yeah, we have a number of questions here. One of them is, what is your solution for the lack of public transportation in Waterville and the Central Maine region? And we'll start with Phil.
It's getting, again, together with like all the entities in our city. We have a lot of nonprofit in town that provide a lot of services, like KV-CAP. Even Colby has a little bus system that they use. It's about getting together and talking about how we can integrate all our services. We live in a city where we have so many organizations, and everybody seems to be doing their own thing. It's about time that we get together and sit at a table and see how we can share resources. Anything that this pandemic has shown us is that we can, and we have to collaborate more. We have to rely on each other. And by sitting down and having conversation with entities, like I mentioned, KV-CAP and other entities in the city that provide transportation in our city, we can come up with a comprehensive plan that benefits the people who live in this city.
Okay, and Jay?
I am in favor of some sort of public transportation, be it a bus route or two. I would like to see people that live on the outer parts of the city to be able to get downtown to go to work. I think that KV-CAP has some buses. They do some movement. I think that we should be collaborating as a city with them. I think many times nonprofits and other organizations do things on their own because they haven't always had the support of the city. They haven't always had the people who wanted to invest in that sort of infrastructure. Infrastructure is most of my platform. That is what I've been looking for. I want those ideas, and I want those people to keep coming forward with those ideas. As I said, it's hard to get across the street from Water Street to downtown. We have residents, many who don't drive, elderly residents, that could take a shuttle over to Walmart, to Hannaford, to Home Depot. We need that sort of infrastructure. It will create revenue. It will keep less cars on our roads. That's a good thing for us. As we're worried about congestion downtown and all this other stuff, as long as we have some form of public transportation, that's a good thing for us. We should be having that. We have 16,000 people in the city. It's only 12 square miles. You don't need a bus stop at every corner, but a way for people to move about the city would be a great idea.
Thank you. And we have a couple of questions here regarding inclusion and diversity. We have one just simply asking, with inclusion and diversity being such an important topic, how do you plan on addressing this issue in Waterville? And another audience member asks, would the candidates support a landmark in Waterville that shows support for LGBTQ residents, such as a permanent rainbow crosswalk on Main Street? And we'll start first with Jay.
I would say, look at my campaign. My campaign is already diverse. I have African Americans, I have people from the LGBT community, women, all in position of power in my campaign, all helping push that diversity. I come from a blended family. That is my stronghold. That is where I come from. I want diversity. I want more of it. And my administration will reflect that. And as far as the crosswalk or a landmark, I'm good with it. Why? Who is upset about a rainbow crosswalk out there by Colby College? I want to see more color. I wear a lot of color, love color. Every member of our community should feel welcome in our city. People visiting our city should feel welcome. It's not evil to put a banner up or some sort of memorial showing the struggle of our community. We have them all over the place. There are parks that have war heroes, statues sitting up. If we can do that, then we can do it for all. It wouldn't make any sense not to have something that encompasses our entire community. I am absolutely for it.
Thank you. And Phil?
Yes, as a member of the Kennebec Valley Diversity and Inclusion Group, I mean, my work is all as an African American who led the George Floyd March in Waterville. You know, my work on inclusion has been pretty extensive and will continue to be extensive because a diverse community is a strong community. I mean, we have businesses right now, you know, all over the United States who will move into a community that is a diverse one. And because then they see the strength in diversity. My thing as far as banners, I don't have any problem with banner being put in downtown or throughout our city to making sure that we represent all the segments of our population at any given time. My caution will just be about having permanent structures, because then we will be building a permanent structure of every corner of our land, you know, for every group. As mayor, I would always recognize everybody in our community and make sure that their voice is heard, and make sure that when it's time to recognize those individuals, that recognition is public and that recognition is loud, so that they can know that at the highest level of our government, they are represented and somebody will be there to care for them and listen to them and share their struggle. Because as an African American, I can resonate very well. I resonate very well, you know, with that message. I live the struggle of the minorities. Being an immigrant, I live the struggle of immigration, and I still, till this day, continue to have to deal with those things. So I relate very well, and I know that having somebody listening to you and sharing your view and making sure that they let you know that they're with you is very important. And that's what I will do, you know, for any member of our community that feels like they're not welcome here and they need a voice and they need somebody to have that voice be as loud as they possibly can.
Thank you. And we'll do one more audience question here before turning it back to Amy. Can you develop and improve Waterville while lowering the mill rate? And we can start with Phil.
Absolutely. It's about, again, working on our spending. Right? It's about working on our spending and making sure that every dollar that is given to our community is spent very well, and pairing that with economic development. and making sure that we bring deals like the solar power deal that myself and the hardworking member of the solar committee worked on. Deals that don't cost the city a penny, but yet generate a substantial amount of money for our city. You know, there's opportunity in renewable. There's many opportunities that if we take the time to listen to our constituent and hear them out, we will be able to come up with solutions that enable us to lower our mill rate. You know, some people think that our mill rate is not high enough. I say our mill rate is too high. When that mill rate increases, yes, property value increase for individual. But a property value increasing for a fixed income individual does not mean that that individual gets money in the bank. Yes, they could sell their homes, but who wants to sell their homes where their parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents lived, and they have all those memories in there? They want to be able to live in this community because they worked so hard to keep up the memories that have been passed down to them through generations, and making sure that we have a smart, cutting edge, bold government that works on initiatives like solar and making sure that we bring deals that don't cost the city, so that we can continue to grow, you know, our revenue and not tax our long-time residents out of their homes.
Thank you, Phil. It looks like we're running out of time, but I do want to give you an opportunity for a minute for closing statements. And since Phil, you started with the opening statements, we'll start with Jay.
So part of my closing statement will be a rebuttal. I don't think anybody wants to tax people out of their homes. I think that the mill rate is only part of the pie. And I think that when we allow and stoke people's fears about the mill rate, that's not okay. Our mill rate has been as high as 30. The fact that it's 25.76 now, is there room to go down? Yes, but that comes down. If you increase property values, you can lower it to $20. It's still going to make taxes go up. There is a correlation there that everybody is missing. No one wants to tax anybody out of their homes. I sure as heck don't. I want you to stay in your home for as long as you can stay in your home. Property values always go up, and when they do, people are displaced. It's happened throughout all of civilization. We can't just broad stroke it out and make it not be a reality. It's there. You must invest money to make money. There is no deal that's going to make us millions of dollars where it costs us nothing. Now, we will still have to buy solar credits. We will still have to do other stuff. Those are great solutions. But when we're taking up 20 acres of property for 5 megawatts, when you can drop a turbine in and make 5 or 6 times that amount, we shouldn't be focusing on one trick. We should be looking at multiple ways to make money. Ambulances are going to make us money. Cost recovery is going to make us money. Using tips to entice companies to come here is going to make us money. Tips work. We get more money than we were getting before, and we get a better piece of property for further on down the road. I say that we will do better. We will continue to do better. And I will continue to listen to everyone and make sure that we are effectively looking at solutions that benefit everyone, and not just one segment, not just one aging population, but everybody as a whole. We must all rise up together, or we're all going to fall together. We all do better when we all do better.
Thank you. Phil Bofia, your closing statement. You have a minute.
Thank you. The first thing I would say is that I don't know how Jay would build, any property on the landfill where nothing else can be built rather than other than a solar field. But my closing statement, I will go ahead with it. Tonight, I wish to ask each voter a very simple and profound question. What kind of city do you wish to live in? Do you wish to live in a city where everyone is welcomed, where the mayor office sets a profoundly American tone from day one? Do you wish to live in a city where all benefits from great paying jobs and from economical vitality that benefits everyone? Do you want to live in a city where we elevate our children our children's education to a level of excellence never before achieved. These things can be achieved. They can be achieved by the incredible collective power of positive politics. If you join me on a pathway of positive politics, we will begin that amazing journey together. I invite you to vote for Phil Bofia for mayor on November 3rd. A vote for Phil Bofia is a vote for positive politics.
Thank you for your time and input, Phil Bofia and Jay Coelho. And thank you to all of you who joined us tonight for this debate. And please don't forget to vote. Thank you.